10 random magic cards rated. Day number 139, everybody. Marching towards 150. What's the first card of the day? Thada Inquisitor, whoever that is. This is from World Wake. I was not playing during World Wake. I was taking a break during World Wake, but this card is $10. Only ever printed in this one set, so let's discover what she does together. You probably already know. I'm discovering. You get to see me discover. 3 mana, 1 and 2 blue for a 2/2 legendary Merfolk Rogue with Island Walk. Whenever Thada deals combat damage to a player, search that player's library for an artifact card and exile it. Then that player shuffles his or her library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. You may play their Soul Ring, is how that works. How that's going to work a lot of the time. I don't know. Most commander decks have, some number of artifacts in them, even if they're just mana rocks. That's pretty good, man. That's actually okay. Even outside of your Merfolk deck, that's pretty good as a commander, isn't it? Isn't it? Because, you can bet that your opponent has some cool artifact to play. You still have to, pay the mana to cast it. But even if you don't cast it, it's exiled forever. So that could really screw some people over, depending on what their deck is, This is a must kill. And then you just play it again out of your command zone, and eventually it finds some ridiculous artifact. I don't know. This is actually good. There's probably a reason this is $10, but I imagine the big reason it's $10 is the lack of being reprinted. You can play it in Merfolk and it does something cool, right? It's a decent commander. This does need a reprint. There's no reason it should be $10, but it is a pretty good Magic card, fairly obviously. So I'm gonna give it a 5.6. But yeah, that's pretty good, dude. It almost doesn't matter like who you're playing against. You find something to go grab. Just have 4 Soul Rings out at the same time, I thought we were playing Commander. An Amulet of Vigor is up next. This is originally from World Wake over here. It'll cost you about $25 in any form, and more than that in most forms. A single mana for an artifact. Whenever a permanent enters the battlefield tapped and under your control, untap it. So lands. That's what Amulet's basically always done, is play lands untapped under your control. This is the basis of a whole modern deck. Amulet Titan, whatever. So, yeah, it's good. It's another one that should have been reprinted more than just this at this point. It's also odd that the Secret Lair drop is the cheapest one. You don't often see that. Like this one from a random... Oh, no, it's because it has cool art. That makes sense. But, yeah, again, basis for a long time modern deck that still, if I'm not mistaken, sees a fair amount of play. So, I'm going to give Amulet... It doesn't just do lands, by the way. It does more than that. And it's commander playable, obviously. It does a lot in that format, where it enables combos, too. It's Amulet, it's good. It's a good card. Who am I surprising by saying Amulet's good? 8.89. Is that too high? Is 8.89 too high? Let me know. Let me know comments. I was going to say chat. Let me know comment section. Is 8.89 too high? 8.81. Yeah? Huh? 8.81? I'm going with that. Temple of Epiphany. We have done temples. It sure does like to shuffle temples in. Have you noticed that? We get temples like all the time. Next is Decimator of the Provinces from Eldritch Moon. This guy, man. 10 mana for a 7/7 Eldrazi boar. When you cast Decimator of the Provinces, creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn, and Decimator itself has trample and haste. But this also has Emerge for 6 and 3 green, so 9 total mana. You may cast the spell by sacking a creature and paying the Emerge cost reduced by that creature's converted mana cost. So if I sack a 3-drop, for instance, then it'll only cost 6 mana to cast this card. Right? And if I sack a 4-drop, then interestingly, it costs 5 mana to cast this card. So, right, if I play my 4-drop, then on curve, I should be able to drop a land next turn, play Decimator, sack my 4-drop, all my remaining creatures get +2/+2 and gain trample till end of turn, and I come in with, a 9/9 at this point trample guy. Should work. Should work and does work a lot of the time. This is a poor person's Craterhoof Behemoth, but it still does the work of Craterhoof Behemoth a lot of the time. Craterhoof can often give all your dudes like +6/+6 or whatever. It's ridiculous, but +2/+2, an effective overrun ability on a 7/7 haste with that also has trample, is still good. Turns out you're still happy with that, like a lot of the time. So this is quite okay in my opinion. It was good back in its standard, even though no one played it. I swear to you, I will hang on forever that the big pig was good. A few decks based around this guy from way back, but I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a 6. This has been a good one so far today, by the way. I'm going to give it a 6 because if I was doing Crater Hoof, I'd have to give it like an 8 point something, right? Probably. Crater Hoof's like the best version of this effect that's ever been printed. Even a watered down effect is good like half the time or 90% of the time. And I definitely think Decimator is pretty sick, dude. I do. But next is Spirit of Aldergard from Kaldheim, a budget all-star from back in the day. 4 mana, 3 and a green for a 0/4 Snow Bear Spirit. When Spirit of Aldergard enters the battlefield, search your library for a snow card, a snow land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle up. Spirit of Aldergard gets +1/+0 for each other snow permanent that you control. So not just lands, but snow permanents. But even if it's only, snow lands that you're packing, then he'll be a 4/4, right? When you play, if all you have is snow lands, then he'll be a 4/4 when you play him. And he has a cool ETB trigger that goes and gets your, 5th land for you, which is nice. And as the game goes on, he gets to be, 5 power, 6 or 7 power guy. And once you get him in multiples, he's great because they'll count each other. They're both snow permanents. I always really liked this guy, man. There was a thing back in the day where there was like a snow elf for 2 mana that ramped. They like tap it for a green, I think. And so on turn 2, you played that. And on turn 3, you played Spirit of Aldergard. And, got your 4th land drop. And it was already like a 4/4 when it came into play because the elf is a snow permanent too. It's just like, I actually kind of miss this card a little bit. I'm telling you, Kaldheim budget had a spot for this card, but it's still not, you could do a lot better in most cases, but I miss it, in snow decks and Commander, which are technically a thing, then this could be like a 12 power guy pretty easily. Because again, it's counting all your snow permanents, but is it worth it? It's got an ETB trigger. I just can't hate this guy. I cannot hate this guy. 4.4. I'm serious. It's actually like a 4. It's actually just a solid 4. Let's just go with just a normal old 4. I think that's right. Zombie Apocalypse from Dark Ascension is up next. 6 mana, 3 and 3 black for a sorcery. Return all zombie creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and then destroy all humans. Hilarious. Just great, man. 6 mana to get all the zombos back is actually not the worst rate anyway, even without destroy all humans, which will usually pick up a couple of creatures. A creature or 2 on the table, it's going to hit, Against certain decks, it'll hit like 4 creatures, all at one time, which is great, but just 6 mana for the mass reanimation is kind of it's not too much to ask in the first place. I'm going to give Zombo Apocalypse a 5.6. A little narrow, but it's not the worst wrath and it's not the worst mass reanimation. Like, yeah, you'll play it in zombies. Is there a point to not playing this in zombies? I think it's worth the slot, But next is Generous Gift. We've done this card before, and it's okay. Not bad. Farseek is up next. I had never seen this Bloomburrow Commander art. That is adorable. The art that I'm familiar with is this, which is originally from, Ravnica makes sense, from Ravnica City of Guilds. But even though I usually insist on looking at the older artwork, I will actually totally take a gander at this Bloomburrow artwork. It is very cute. This is 2 mana, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain. Put it on the battlefield tap and shuffle. So you just can't go get a forest, right? Cool thing about this is that it doesn't say basic anywhere on the card. Nowhere on the card. So you can go get, a dual land, one of the tapped, shock lands if you want to. You can go and get one of the surveil lands, which is a great choice for this. You can go and get a triome. Nowadays, in the here and now, you can go get a triome because a lot of those have, the land types. So this card is busted. It's just probably better than Rampant Growth in 99 out of 100 cases, So, and you can see like it's over $1 to order in just about any of its forms because it's great. It's like the best Rampant Growth effects like ever printed. I don't even know if that's like necessarily debatable. Racking brain. I don't think so, man. I think that Farseek is like the one, man. I really do. So I'm gonna give Farseek a 7.7. I'm telling you guys. Farseek. We're talking about the best rampant growth ever. That's worth a lot of points. It just is worth a lot of points. Commune with Nature up next. Apparently they started printing this in Champions of Kamigawa, and they've only reprinted it like 4 times. I would have thought this had been reprinted like 50 times, but no, not that many. A single green mana for a classic green effect. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature from among them, put it into your hand. The rest go on the bottom in a random order. So a single green mana for a 5-card impulse that only puts creatures in your hand. Sure. It's not always playable, but when it is, 60% of the time, it works every time. When the card is playable, it's very good. You know, it's certain combo decks or decks that you built around like one huge dude that you want to get on the table and then protect. Commune with Nature can be very good in those decks. So I'm going to give this a solid 5. I really will. I think this is one of the better green card selection effects of all time. You know, there's a few green effects like this, and some of them can find lands and creatures, but they only look at 3 cards. You know, we've seen takes on this effect a few times, but I think Commune is one of the better ones. I really do. Untamed Wilds is up next. Originally from Legends. Look at this beautiful art. Look at this beautiful fall art by Nene Thomas here. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for any one basic land, put it into play. That's it. That's what the card does. So if you know, it's the first effect like this. You know, it was printed in Legends. It's the precursor for all rampant growth effects. So I will put some respect on its name, but I can't say that it's good by today's standards, right? We have Cultivate in this slot, Kadama's Reach, even Horror is better than a card like this in this slot. So I have to give it like a 3.3. You know, it's not good now, but there was a time. Next is Brood Hatchnantuko. This is originally from Onslaught. This is a 2 mana insect druid, 1 and a green for a 1/1. And when it's dealt damage, you may put that many 1/1 green insect creature tokens into play. This also has Morph for 2 and a green. So you play it face down for 3 mana and then turn it up for 2 and a green. So that's kind of cute. that's kind of very cute. They can't really attack with huge guys. You know, they attack with a very large man. Then suddenly you just get in the way with your Brood Hatchnantuko and you're going to make like 6 tokens. You know, that's okay. Even like 4 tokens is pretty good for your 2-drop, right? So I've always had a spot for this dude, you know, a soft spot for this guy. I think he's very good and kind of underplayed. You know, Wizards does too, by the way. You know, they printed him in Onslaught and then again in Masters 25 and then Murders at Karlov Manor Commander less than a year ago. And then the list less than a year ago. They're like, come on, guys. Come on. Notice this guy. He's pretty good. I'm telling you. So somebody at Wizards is printing this guy into newer stuff and being like, hey, guys, read the card. Come on. I'm telling you. You don't ever have to morph this. You don't ever have to morph this. It's just a 2 mana, 1/1 that if you can step in front of something, cool. You get a bunch of so many tokens. However, also, if you just play like Earthquake or some other X damage to every creature spell, then suddenly it blows up and you get a bunch of insects, and that's also very boss. So I don't know, man. This is a hidden commander gem I think more people need to be aware of, and I'm going to give it the honorary 5 of the day, but I actually want to give this card like a 5.7. I really do, but I'm going to hold off. I'm going to give it the honorary 5. You go out in the world, you play this card, I'm telling you. This is a find. This is a find right here. If you've never seen it before, give it a shot. It's not bad. But final card of the day here is Dizzying Gaze. This is from Exodus and only Exodus, but not part of the reserve list. A single red mana for a creature enchantment, and you play it only on a guy you control. Now, if you pay run with single red mana, then it deals 1 damage to target creature with flying. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this on one of our guys. We can actually just put it on the last guy, right? Brood Hatchnantuko or whatever. We can put it on that guy. And then we can give him flying. And then we can give him indestructible. We have to give him flying and indestructible somehow. And then for each red mana that we spend, we get a 1/1 token. Done. Game. What a combo. So we just got to figure out a way to do all that. And then we're in the money, baby. But still, this is not good. I would say it's not super great, but it's also Also, not that bad, right? Because like, pay a mana, ping a creature with flying. Okay, you probably. I actually think you could turn your creature into a little menace that way. The more I look at it, the more I'm like, okay, so opponents don't have go. My opponents don't get to have flying creatures. Is what you're telling me. So what you're telling me is that creatures can't have flying if I pump enough mana into it. I don't know, dude. I'm probably falling for this, but I'm still gonna give it like a 4.3. I actually kind of want to try this out, even though it seems like pretty terrible. It seems like mostly terrible, but I don't know, dude. It kind of reads like flying creatures can't exist. It's just got to be worth something, man. But that is everything for today, everyone. I will see you bright and early on Tuesday morning. Love you. Bye.